Hey, welcome to Business Beats. Lawrence here. Today we're going to be talking about education, all right? All the ins and outs of personal development, training, education, all that sort of stuff. I personally think it's the epicenter of everything, and we're going to deep dive on 5 key verticals today, so thanks for joining. Number 1, education is everything. Education is everything. I personally believe that. It is the start, the middle, the end, and the finish, all right? End and the finish, they're probably the same thing, but you get my point. So here's the deal with education. Without it, nothing actually happens or moves forward. It is so critical to the development of human beings, society, economics, governments, everything on the planet is based around it. So I guess this talk today is about just sort of understanding and unpacking it for what it is, because what I think happens is it gets left in the background, right? We go to school, we get a high school education, we finish in year 12, and then we pivot. If we're lucky enough and can afford it, we go to university, right? And then those people who go to university, get a degree or a master's degree, PhD, whatever it may be, they normally step into a career and then everything stops. You go to high school, you find a job, and then everything stops. So there's 2 ways to look at education. There's technical education, so qualifications, certificates, diplomas, degrees, bachelors, those sorts of things. And then there's development, right? Which is more about personal development. So learning hacks, tricks, mindset, attitude, those types of things. So I'm going to talk sort of about both. So as we move through the conversation, I will refer to both, but they are 2 different verticals, right? There's personal development and technical training and development, which is sort of 2 different things. When we're born, we're learning. When we are born, we are learning. Okay, so the first thing we do, we have to learn how to walk. Well, probably hold our head up, right, with a bit of a floppy neck. But we have to learn how to walk. We have to learn how to stand upright. We have to learn how to talk. We have to learn how to interpret. So our brain starts to develop over a period of time, right? So from birth, we're learning. Then we move into childhood, where we have to learn mathematics and English and how to speak properly, how to communicate, how to engage with the world, what things are, how to drive a car, all these things. So if you look at education and you break it down to its core element, go back to first principles, it is the epicenter of everything. That's why I said that at the start. It is the epicenter of everything. Here's what I think it's connected to: happiness, prosperity, health. I think everything is wrapped up under an educational blanket, right? So I just wanted to initially punch that out there just to get an understanding of how important education is to society and to humanity, right? So everything that you need to learn, you need to learn. First, you need to identify what you need to learn, and then you need to go and do it. So if you're feeling down, you're feeling depressed, your business isn't working, you're having trouble holding on to friendships or maintaining a successful relationship, you want to earn more money, you want to get a better job, you want to work in another industry, there's only one thing that gets you there: education. Training, development, personal development, understanding, technical qualifications all move you forward. I think it's really important. Number 2, be consistent. So if you're going to do training and development and you're going to do learning, whatever way, shape or form you're going to do it, whether it's an online course not accredited or a diploma and advanced diploma degree, whatever it may be consistent with it. Because what happens is people get excited to start something, but they never finish it because they lose momentum. And here's what I know: you have to schedule it. And there's 2 ways to learn about this, and I said this in the number 1 vertical, right? Is that there's technical training, so formal qualifications, and then there's personal development training as well. So you have to do this first. The personal development stuff's really important. So that means keeping a healthy mindset, understanding what you need to do and what should be priority, scheduling it if it is priority, and education should always be scheduled. I think so. But education in that personal development context is not just sitting down and studying and doing assessments, right? Or reading research papers and white papers and all that sort of stuff. It's what are you doing in that time that's not productive? Like, hanging out with your friends for 48 hours over the weekend. Well, what a waste of time. I'm not saying don't do it. You should do it, but you should also schedule time for yourself to think, to research, to write. When you're driving in your car to work, or you're on a public transport, on the train or on the bus, what are you listening to? You should be listening to something. So you've got to keep your mind healthy for all the other stuff to follow, right? So that's all part of education. Personal development is part of education. You should do it all the time. You should not just do it when it suits you. So what I'm saying is, with consistency, build a habit around it. Because if you build a habit around it and you get used to it and it becomes habitual, where you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is maybe you put on a podcast as you make a cup of coffee. How great's that? Like, you should do that, or try and work your way into that space. Because people who are doing that are normally winning. And people who are not winning, who are losing, are not doing that sort of stuff. So you've got to sort of separate, the men from the boys, right? Or the women from the girls. You've really got to make a commitment and focus on training and education in whatever way, shape or form. Just start with personal development. Just go and buy a course online, read a book. That's all part of learning, like podcast, book, YouTube. With mobile devices now, you've got access to every piece of information on the planet. So there's no excuses. Number 3, income. Whew, the big dollar signs, right? Here's one thing that I know. This is being researched. There's been many white papers and research papers delivered about this from some of the biggest universities. Princeton did one, Harvard's done one. UQ in Australia have done one. Is that what they find is a third of people in the top 3% of earners on the planet, or the top 5%, they are all degree qualified. What does that tell you? So going to university does pay dividends, right? There's a couple of things to that though. I think entrepreneurs are a little bit different, right? They normally dive in and then they go for it. So if you were in Silicon Valley and you went to Princeton, Stanford, or whatever it may be, you got to hang out with those billionaires, right, that are now billionaires, and they started that whole Silicon Valley scene. Well, most people don't have access to that. That's just a bit of a pipe dream. Now, you can plug into that through social media and learn from those guys, but you just got to think about what's real for you, right? Look, by the way, I think that's pretty cool, but if you're in Australia, or even if you're in the US, right, New Zealand or wherever it may be, you probably are not going to have that luxury. So you've got to force it, right? So if you want to earn high income, you have to use education. And here's why. I think some people don't understand why. Well, why do those guys earn more money? Well, there's a whole bunch of things around that, right? A, they're making connections. B, they're putting themselves into a physical environment which changes their mindset, stimulates the brain. When you're in that zone of learning and development and you're around groups of people that are like that, everything goes up. And by the way, happiness goes up. I know I've mentioned that before, but it does, because what happens is you feel like you're moving forward. And that's what humans want in their life. They want to move forward, right? They want to achieve bigger things, greater things, contribute, and help people. So what better way to do that than doing it for yourself first, so then you can expand and push that out, right? So, but I just want to wind back to the people, those high income earners in the top 3 to 5%, who are degree qualified. There's a lot of reasons why that happens. Mindset, right? Focus, commitment. To do a degree, you got to be committed. Like, it's 3 to 5 years, 6 years in some cases if you're doing a PhD. So that's a lot of commitment. So those people work when they do that. Look, I understand there's fortunate people who are born into wealth where maybe they don't have to, but get over it. Don't worry about those people. Worry about the normal everyday guy, right, or girl. So you got to be committed to that. Like, that's a big commitment. So that commitment creates outcome, right? And everything just gets better. Like, I don't know why people, I don't want to get university educated because I can't afford it. It's for the wealthy. Well, whatever, dude. You've just got to get it done and you've got to figure it out. Now, I'm not saying university is for everyone. I'm not saying that everyone in that 5% bracket are university or master degree or PhD qualified. Some of them are not that, but what they're doing is they may work in the non-technical component and they're doing personal development every day. So they're reading the right books, right? They're listening to the podcasts. They're creating repetition and habits around personal development and mindset and psychology. It's really psychology. And just they're taking one step forward every day. But look, here's the thing. Here's what employers look for. They look for people who are investing in themselves, right? If you're investing in yourself and you put that on a piece of paper, like your resume or your CV, and they see it, man, they're gonna love that. Because what does it say to them? It says this person is investing in themselves. They're trying to get better. That's the sort of person that we want to employ. Because if they keep doing that, it's going to add value to our company and to our business, right? That's the type of person we want in our company, so we can progress and move them through our company and they become leaders and managers and add contribution to the company. Now, a person who's not doing that and hasn't done that since they left high school is just not attractive to the market. So think about that. They are not attractive to the market. If they haven't done any personal development, what does that tell a potential employer? If you're a business owner, you have to continually learn. You know, like 90% of businesses fail in the first 5 years, or whatever that number is. It's been a long time since I've read that information, but it's because they're not training themselves and learning new skills. You know, they might be good at baking pies, but they're no good at running a P&L or the economics of the finances of a company and how to best that money, right? They don't know how to recruit. They don't know how to run HR systems, policies, processes, systems in general across a business landscape. But they could learn that, but they choose not to. They just want to do that because they haven't got a learning mindset around them or psychology around them. So that's something that you should consider. Number 4, life prosperity. Well, what I call life prosperity, right? Here's what I think. Everybody is looking for prosperity. Everyone. I don't care who you are, what country you're from, what color your skin is, even if you're from another planet. Maybe you are. Everyone is chasing prosperity. If you unpack everything, that's what people look for. And they connect happiness to prosperity. They go sort of hand in hand, right? Right next to each other. So people look for prosperity. So guess what delivers prosperity? Prosperity and happiness, development. Because if you're the same person at 10 that you are at 20, that you are at 40, that you are at 50, that you are at 90, it's actually impossible to acquire happiness and prosperity. So without doing it, people don't realize is that when you get a job, say if you finished high school, right? You finished year 10, year 12, you went and got a job and you're doing whatever, you're planting pots and selling those to people. You had to learn how to do that. So you're learning and developing to earn an income, right? Now the income doesn't necessarily give you happiness or prosperity, because if the income is in alignment with the economics of the environment in which you live, it's sort of impossible, right? So prosperity is attached to also economics, right? Economics is attached to happiness. Happiness is attached to prosperity. And they're all closely related. They're all first cousins, in fact, right? And those first cousins are hanging out together, going to get coffee and having chicken sandwiches, whatever that may be. But think about it, everything is around that learning component. So you have to really unpack everything in terms of what am I going to do in my life to get prosperity, happiness, and get my economics right? And that's just a real thing. Now, I know there's people out there go, well, I don't need money to be happy. Well, I've said this before, I just completely disagree with that, and I think that's bullshit. It's because I think they don't know what they want. Because I'd much rather be rich and miserable in business class than poor and miserable on aisle 36. Like, you really need to contextualize it and just get over all the bullshit that's in the market, okay? So prosperity is what people are really chasing. And look, I want to have a great family, I want to have a good life, I want to have great kids, I want to look after my kids, spend time with my kids, I want a nice home to live in, I want to drive a nice car, I want to go on holiday twice a year. That's what people want. Now, they think that that's prosperity, which is cool. And it sort of is in a relative sort of way, right? But you need good economics for that. Where do good economics come from? Education, training, development. That's where it comes from. It doesn't come from any other place. Like, if you want to earn the big money, you want to earn the ones and zeros, you have to get the education to support that. Unless you're lucky enough to walk into a business at a certain level, develop those relationships and build those relationships over a period of time, which you can do, don't get me wrong. It's not like, I want to be a lawyer, so I'm going to go to university, I'm going to get a law degree, and then I'm going to step into a law firm, and they're going to pay me here. See, these are the things, right? So if I'm degree qualified, they have to pay me here, right? If I'm not, they're going to pay me here. Now, how long does it take for you to get from here to here? Is that years? Is that 10 years? I don't know. Where if you invested 3 years, you can get there 10 times faster? Or is it gonna, how long is it gonna take for you to get there? So all I'm saying is it's not 99, 100% all the time that you need to have that high level education, but you have to have some education. And here's the thing, it's not that expensive. Like, you can get free courses online and just take one step forward, right? And then create a psychology around it and then just go for it. But what I'm saying is prosperity is what people are chasing. That's normally attached to happiness for themselves, which is attached to economics. And all three of those are attached to training and education. Number 5, last thing I'm going to say about it. Think of education and training and development, or whatever you want to call it, as an investment. It's not a cost, right? You're not buying a pair of jeans, you're not buying a cup of coffee and a cheesecake, right? That's gone soon after you purchase it. This is something that's going to last forever. No one can take it away from you. It's tax deductible, and it's going to increase your income and create prosperity. So why wouldn't you do it? It's going to open doors, right? And here's the thing, there's one thing I've learned about doing education, right? And I do a lot of short courses. I just finished a biology course online because I want to learn how to optimize, right? So as I get on in life, I think, okay, how do I optimize my body, my mind, stay fit and healthy, get onto the right diet? So what did I do? I went and did a course. It took me 4 hours online, and I did it within 10 days. That's classed as high value education, by the way, because I'm getting very specific about one thing and I'm deep diving on it, right? So there's no excuse. Think of it as an investment. I think you probably heard the old adage where and the investment in yourself is the best investment. Like, that's pretty old school. Carnegie said that, I remember in one of the books I read of his. And he's right, that really hit me when he said that. So what did I do after that? So I read Carnegie's book when I was 21. And ever since then, I've been investing in education. And you're gonna have to do things you don't wanna do, right? Like, it's just a given, right? So, but what'll happen if you continue to educate yourself, prosperity and income start to increase over a period of time. And then you get to a point where you're doing something that you're completely passionate about, you love it, you're earning the right amount of money, now you're contributing, supporting your family and helping other people. And through that whole journey, all I've been doing is educating myself. Now, some of the entrepreneurs that I met who are billion-dollar guys, 250 million a year, 500 million a year, there's one thing they all have in common. They're constantly learning. They're lifelong learners, I think is the term that they use. Because they don't stop. They know that they just have to keep doing it. Like, I'm a lifelong learner. There's not a day that goes by where I'm not putting something inside my brain that's helping me grow. Like this morning I listened to a podcast about AI, right? Because I'm trying to figure that out. Yesterday I listened to a guy about sales because we're trying to figure out how to navigate our sales process in one of our businesses and to make that better. So every day I'm constantly doing that. So you should do that. And what I'm saying is, if you need to spend the money, spend the money. You know, don't go on that trip with away for the weekend with the boys, right? That's going to cost you $1,500. Go and buy a course for $1,500. And imagine what sort of outcome or income you'd earn from that. You're going to earn more than $1,500. I guarantee you that. You know, so you've got to think about it as an investment. It's an investment in yourself. And like I said, it's 100% tax deductible. If you work in that right industry, no one can take it away from you, and it's going to last forever. And it's going to open so many doors in your future, you can't even see it yet. But don't worry about the future. Just get it done, and over time, you'll see yourself grow and develop. Hey, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Hey, look, really passionate about education. It's sort of my thing at the moment. I own 2 training companies, and if you want to go check those out, you can go to techskill.com.au, and the other one is openeducationacademy.com. I say OEA. Okay, so we do a whole range of courses, so go check it out. If we can help you out, I'd love to be able to do that. So I hope you got something out of this episode. I think education is a critical component to life. And like I said, prosperity, economics, happiness, everything is attached to it. So I'm pretty passionate about it. Anyway, look, thanks for joining. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Click on the bell so you can get the subscriptions. And hey, we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks.